Mount Athos, untouched by the march of progress and modernity, where time has stood still, where monks have sought communion with God through prayer, and where no woman has been permitted to enter for over a millennium. This is the story of Athos. Known as the Holy Mountain, Athos is recognized as the heart of traditional Christianity. In October of 2024, a group of 8 men came together from all over the world to experience the spirit and pure atmosphere of Mount Athos. After visiting the holy churches in Thessaloniki, we drove to Uranoupoli, the last city before Athos. Throughout the drive, the majestic mountain, peaking up 2,031 meters above sea level, kept showing itself, hinting at the encounter with the divine ahead. After a night in Uranoupoli, we sailed away from the shore and left civilization behind. The monasteries became more majestic and unreachable the longer the ferry sailed. Many of these settlements were like fortresses next to the water, and others were nested on the top of the steepest cliffs. The Skeet of Agia Anna welcomed us to the sacred ground and immediately demanded a steep, long hike up the mountain, toughening our group for the next 4 days' trials. We were prepared for long and tiring treks. Mount Athos is the garden of the Theotokos, the Mother of God, and while you are there, you are in her hands. So challenges showed up. After all, no true adventure is without its challenges. Athos is not for tourists looking for a summer vacation. Without the convenience of the internet and GPS, we had a crash course in learning to navigate with a physical map and compasses. Finding the right directions up steep cliffs, through dense forests, and through a spider's web of small footpaths demanded constant attention, and more than once we found ourselves on a wrong turn. One day specifically came with its hidden challenges. While 2 of the more energetic members of the group decided to go by a steeper side path, another member managed to crash his drone on an overgrown hilltop. After an intense fight with the thorny wild flora of Athos, the aircraft was found, although 2 of the 4 legs were broken. That meant no more footage for the rest of the trip. At least we managed to regroup before nightfall, and the doors of the monasteries were locked. Every night we stayed at a different monastery, never getting comfortable in one place. We had no choice but to adapt to a tough daily routine. The day started by waking up at 3 a.m. and attending service in the monastery. The morning service finished with tea or a humble breakfast at 7 a.m. Sometimes we managed a quick nap before packing our backpacks and preparing for the long journey to the next monastery, starting around 8 a.m. After a 20-kilometer hike, we arrived at the next monastery at 4 in the afternoon, taking advantage of a short dinner meal after evening vespers and getting ready for sleep at 7 p.m. Despite the grueling program, or perhaps because of it, we got along together very well. The treks sometimes reminded us of a military mission, and every one of us went through ups and downs, but were able to support each other in keeping a high spirit and strength to complete the journey. The challenges of finding our way and handling confusion, fatigue, and discomfort reflected the challenges we were facing in life. This greatly deepened our experience through the pilgrimage. We quickly formed a strong brotherhood and developed strong friendships which will last long after the pilgrimage. Our second overnight stop on Mount Athos was the monastery of the Great Lavra, the most ancient of the monasteries. The story of Athos is deeply intertwined with the spiritual journey of the founder of Great Lavra, Saint Athanasius the Athonite. In the 10th century, Saint Athanasius arrived on Mount Athos. A few monks were already scattered across the slopes, living as hermits, often facing fierce persecution from the local pagan population. We found Saint Athanasius's tiny remote cave on a steep cliffside overlooking the ocean. Here he lived, sustained by his faith, prayer, and the natural resources of the mountain. While living as a hermit, Athanasius soon gained followers drawn to his piety, vision, and strength of character. Recognizing the need for a structured monastic community, Athanasius founded the Great Lavra Monastery in 963 AD, the first large, organized monastery on the mountain, and it set the stage for a new monastic community that would grow into a network of monasteries dedicated to spiritual and ascetic practices, with more than 10,000 monks living there. One day after we offered to do some additional work at the monastery, our group was invited by a monk to view some of the original 1,000-year-old facilities. This monk then revealed to us some of the not-so-well-known stories of the monastery. Particularly central for the founding of the monastery was the vision of Saint Athanasius, where he was instructed to strike a large rock. It miraculously split open in the form of a cross, releasing a stream of pure water. This miraculous spring still exists today and is considered holy by the monks and pilgrims who visit, providing us with a much appreciated refreshing stop on our journey. Today, Athos is home to 20 main monasteries, with the Great Lavra remaining the first among equals. For over 1,000 years, its tradition of seclusion has preserved Athos as a center of Orthodox monasticism, drawing men as monks, pilgrims, and scholars, fascinated by its long mystical history and wanting to draw from its fresh springs. Life remains unchanged and relatively untouched by modernity on Mount Athos. The monks follow an ancient, ascetic pattern of life, which has lasted for over a millennium. More focused on the personal experience of God compared to the more intellectualized Western forms of Christianity. All of life on Athos is uncompromisingly focused on the experience of the divine and uniting of man with God. As guests, it was an honor to meet and experience sharing just a little of the lives of the men who had dedicated their lives to this aim. We could never even begin to share what this experience was like or what it meant for us. All we can say is, if you ever have an opportunity to visit Mount Athos, then do it. You will not be disappointed.